Today marks the official release date of Mystics in Action, 12 Saints for Today. The book asks the question, can we be heavenly minded and also earthly good? Can we be contemplative, focusing on prayer and meditation, having a personal relationship with God, and also be politically active, seeking to change the world? Howard Thurman says the task of the mystic is to challenge with love and vigor anything that prevents others from experiencing the fullness of life. In Mystics in Action, I chart the stories of 12 mystics who were both heavenly minded and deeply committed to transforming the world so that God's vision of heaven might come alive on earth. I described the adventures of Albert Schweitzer, whose reverence for life inspired him to see God in all creation and sacrifice an academic and musical career to practice medicine in Africa. Dag Hammarskjöld, whose quiet relationship with God inspired his leadership of the United Nations. Simone Weil, who saw herself in solidarity with the least of these, most particularly the working classes. Rufus Jones, whose experience with the inner light of God inspired him to become a peacemaker, meeting German leaders to seek the release of Jewish prisoners. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, whose encounter with Jesus and the prophets called him to challenge Hitler's regime. I chart the adventures of Martin Luther King, whose sense of God's presence and protection and God's love for all people inspired him to challenge injustice while seeing the holiness of his opponents. Abraham Joshua Heschel, inspired by the Hebraic prophets who felt like his legs were praying when he marched with Martin Luther King. I recall my encounters with Peace Pilgrim, Mary Mildred Lizette Norman, who walked across the USA several times with nothing on but an apron and jeans to hold her possessions and to promote world peace. I remember Thomas Merton, whose deep encounter with God and monastic silence propelled him into interfaith dialogue and to protest the war in Vietnam and inequality in the United States. I walk and protest with Dorothy Day, who found the face of God in the homeless, forgotten and dispossessed, and who discovered that when she could no longer protest, she could still pray. I chart the challenges that Oscar Romero faced as he moved from being an establishment bishop to political action on behalf of the impoverished workers, the campesinos of El Salvador. And I'm inspired by Mother Teresa, who saw God's distressing disguise in the dying and the impoverished and challenged each of us to do something beautiful for God. Mystics in Action tells us that we are all mystics in the making, who can join heaven and earth as we seek to embody God's realm on earth as it is in heaven and do something beautiful for God.